Most entrepreneurs don't understand the power of nonprofits. COTY Capital helps businesses create and leverage these business entities to receive up to $120,000 a year in free marketing. So reach out to them and find out how to utilize this amazing benefit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the New Hampshire Business Show. My name is Chris Pastrana and today we're here with Gail Kraft from The Empowering Process. How's it going?
Awesome. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to this. So before we as we get started, tell us about yourself and what you do.
About myself. I've had many years in business and very successful. I've been on board of directors like at John Hancock Property and Casualty. I've done so much on the business side, and it was successful, but not necessarily fulfilling, shall we say. I moved out to San Diego, spent a few years out there, hated my job, but I was making money to the point where I was fired. And my response was, who are you to fire me?
Yeah.
Right? Lots of down in the dumps, like terrible attitude after that. But that pushed me into self-discovery because I realized there was a common denominator in the successful Gail and the one that just got fired. And that's me.
Yeah.
Right? And so the issue is not them. The issue is me.
Yeah.
And so question, why was I in a job that I knew was not a right fit for me but yet remained? What fear was I holding on to that kept me in a position that was self-destructive?
Yeah.
And I ended up leaving because they fired me because I didn't have the balls, quite frankly, to quit.
Yeah.
Right? So so that led me into coaching, which, everybody's a coach, it seems, these days. But we're talking early, about 2011. 2012 is when I started my own business as a coach. And I have been studying the mind and empowerment and the mind-body connection ever since. I am an NLP master trainer. I am which is incredible. I am a soul realignment practitioner. I've got so many credentials. And the purpose is not to be credentialed, but I'm curious. I want to know more.
Yeah.
And the more I know, the more I bring to my clients. So I have a toolbox that's ridiculous, right? I have clients right now who are in business, and I'm working with them on leadership skills. I have clients that are looking to become more enlightened and more in touch with themselves. And I have clients that are just in pain and looking for solutions to those pains. So whatever comes my way. But my most important thing that I'm doing now is exploring the dark side. That was last year's major achievement, was digging into the dark side. And that's getting to the little nuggets that we don't even admit that are there.
Yeah.
Right? The little tiny voice that we don't even acknowledge is talking, right? And when you explore the dark side, it's really embracing who you are. So I'll give you a quick example. I also believe in the universal laws, and you get the law of polarity, which is a big one for me. So you can't have white without dark, right? You can't have up without down. And so my natural energy is truth, right? Well, I can't be truth if I'm not also a liar. Face that, right? And so I fought that for a while. I'm like, no, I'm truth. There cannot be lies there. I'm truth. It's like, wait a minute. You can't have truth without lies. You are a proponent of that, so you need to face that. And so in the process of embracing the fact that there are lies that can support my truth, then yes, I am a liar as well. I can't be one without the other. And that's okay, because that part of me only exists to propel the other part of me, not to bring me down. I could use it to bring me down. I could let it bring me down, right?
Yeah.
But I don't. So this event that I have in September, which I am going to break into a weekly because it's just so powerful. I think I need to break it up. But it's called The Dark Side, right, where shadow work begins. And it's all about using archetypes, right? So that people don't have to get too close to who they are. They can use an archetype.
Yeah.
Right? So we're taking the archetype test to find out your predominant personality, if you will. And we're going to explore the positive and then the dark of the archetype. And it's so much easier to say, well, when I bring out the crone in me, let's say. Well, the crone is pretty caustic because she thinks she knows everything, right? So we can talk about that with distance and not get so emotionally involved, right? And then we can talk about solutions and support. And we can, I call it pop that bubble, right? That's been growing and growing and growing, and release the pressure that's been building up in there. And it's just, this is what I do. It's just so beautiful. I love it. I mean, I talked to a client the other day, and she's like, I've been struggling and struggling, and then I let it go. And things just flow. I'm like, yes. Just let it flow.
That's funny.
Yes.
I like that. So it's funny that you bring this up. So I told you kind of when we were talking beforehand that I'm working on my third book.
Right.
So the second one is called Laurels. It's about, essentially your own achievements and stuff like that. But the first one is called Walk the Dark Path.
I love you.
So we're kind of on the same road here about we all have these things. You can't deny half of the human experience, because that's kind of very entrepreneurish nowadays. They're like, you have to be happy and you have to be this and you have to be super excited and you have to 24-hour grinding and you have to be like, there's...
Meanwhile, that inner child in you that's suffering is screaming. And I look at when you bury something, it's like planting a seed. The roots get stronger, right? We want to rip those, and I won't say rip because I'm all about the gentle approach, but we want to pull the roots out. Right? So go ahead.
What I'm saying from, so I think we're on a very similar path when it comes to, you say solving it, but I say embracing that half of you as well, because it's a balance. There's no such thing as being 100% happy. You have to embrace that part of you that's quite a bit darker, and you can still succeed that way. It's just part of life.
Right. It's just knowing who you are. So so I do little Facebook Lives every once in a while, and it's basically I wake up and a word comes to me. It's like, okay, so I'm going to talk about this. Okay, thanks, universe, I'll do this, right? And lately, it's been about judgment. And it started off with, I used to say, don't be judgy. And then I was judging all the time, right? I'm like, well, why can I not stop judging, right? And then I realized that it's the human condition to be judgmental. I can't choose, if I'm not judging, that I like this and I don't like that, right? So how can I push people to not be judgmental when that's who we are? That's our very DNA. So I explored, well, what does that mean, right? I get curious. And there is judgment that is supportive and judgment that is detrimental. So it's all about listening to your body, because your body knows before your mind does, right? What's the vibration, what's going on in your body? And if you're judging something and it doesn't feel right, then maybe you should question yourself why you're judging. So it's being curious and asking yourself questions, and at a distance. So we were talking earlier about at a distance, where I use archetypes. I don't want my clients, when we're getting someplace, to, let's get to the 3-year-old you where, maybe your father beat you up. I don't want to go there. I don't want to recreate that. That's already in your DNA. Why do we want to anchor it and make it stronger? But I do want you to get away from it and look at it. Look at his perspective, look at the mother's perspective, look at a bunch of perspectives and try to understand the situation. And then how can you get a lesson and a gift from it? How can you then forgive it, not condone it, but forgive it and move on? I've literally been face-to-face with clients and watched the weight come off their shoulders, right? And they've said, oh my God, I think I just lost 20 pounds. I said, yeah, you did, and congratulations. It's just awesome. So, what I do is a little bit different, and so I don't call myself a coach. I do a lot of training and motivational events, so I call myself a motivational speaker, and, maybe an empowerment leader. But I'm more than a coach, and that word just doesn't fit anymore.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like a lot what you were saying, because in one of my last conversations, we were talking about this too. And it's that when I was in the Army, they taught us this thing called, what was it? Proximity negates skill. So the closer you are to something, the harder it is to skillfully deal with it. So kind of like you were saying, you got to pull back from it. You got to be almost bird's eye view when it's easier to deal with.
Right.
So, and then even better, bringing someone else in that can give you a fresh perspective who's even farther away from it than you. Because we deal with this with relationships all the time, where someone's telling you about their relationship, and from the outside you're like, what do you, get away.
Can't you see this?
And they're like, but I love them. They're blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, from the 2,000-foot view, you're like, whoa, that's crazy. So, yeah, but the closer you are, the harder it is to, deal with that. So.
Right. So I mentioned before that I have NLP master training, right? And so one of the NLP processes includes getting that distance. And so I do this frequently with my clients, and so I'll put the painful you on the stage, and we're in a movie theater, and we might start off sitting in the movie theater, watching what's going on and talking about it, because kind of like we're a couple of friends sitting in the movie theater, right? And if I'm feeling that you're still feeling emotions, hey, let's get up to the projection room, or up in the projection room, looking at it. So now you have control over the video that's going on. So we can change it if you want. Oh, by the way, you want some popcorn? Yeah. Right? State change. And if you watch Tony Robbins, that's all state change. As soon as I see the emotional dive, we do a state change, right? And they don't even know, right? Because if you can't make a good decision from a negative emotional state. So I want to get your state up. Even though the state down there might not be so great, you need to be in a different state. Then you can forgive. Then you can change. And when that body changes, then we take a stroll down and you step into it. Awesome. Awesome stuff. And that's a broad view of the types of things that happen with NLP. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
So because you've mentioned it a few times for people who don't know, what is NLP?
Neuro-linguistic programming. So it is a methodology, if you will, that was developed in the 90s, I believe. There were 3 or 4 psychiatrists that were having incredible success with their clients. And so NLP was developed on the processes that they used that was different than the norm. And it includes language, right? Language is a huge thing. My book, The Empowering Process, is all about empowering questions, and that's using language in a way that is propelling you forward versus bringing you back. And it's full of presuppositions. So NLP works with your brain waves, right? And so a belief is a story you've been telling yourself over and over and over and over again. So you create like a groove in a record, right? And so you keep falling into that groove, and you keep falling into the groove. We can't make the groove go away. Sorry guys, the groove is there. But we can create a groove before it that you're going to go into instead that is more beneficial to you. And one that feels right, that's congruent with who you are, not congruent with me, it's your groove, right? It's your choice. That's congruent with who you are and is also ergonomic. No harm to you, no harm to others. So we decide what that is and we create it. I had one client that I worked with, and she's an amazing, successful business, a wonderful, beautiful woman, but just lost her mojo and really felt completely disempowered. And we put her, she wasn't even on the stage. And I said, okay, so we want to bring in, and we used all of the words that she wanted in her life that were missing. And, bring love in. Love is now on the stage. Now bring empowerment in, whatever you think that is. Empowerment is on this, right? And we started like lightning, bringing this stuff in and building her. Building the her that she used to be or the her that she wants to be. And she stepped into it. And about a week later, she stepped away from family and did some soul searching. And she came back and she goes, I know what I want to do. I know where I want to go. I've got my mojo back. Life is, we gave her a word. I give my clients words. Hers is juicy. Life is juicy again. I said, awesome. And so she's making complete changes in her life that just, she was ready. She was ready. And it has nothing to do with me. It's up to her, right? Where she wants to go. Yeah. So how can I not love what I do? Sorry, guys, but if you don't love what you're doing, you need to come to me and find something that's beautiful.
And so what I like about this whole thing is there's a big, how do I word this? It's a process that most people don't actually do for themselves because, we live our lives and we think we know ourselves a lot, but how many times do you ask someone, hey, what's wrong? And they're like, I don't know. People have no idea. The ability to actually stop, look inwards, and be like, what's bothering me and why does it bother me is huge. And people just don't do it in that way. They can't.
Well, we've not been trained to. We've been trained to bury it, right? We've been trained to become. I mean, even school is all about creating someone who can come out and report to the man, right? So not to think for yourself, but to take orders, right? And so we've been trained not to think for ourselves. But on that line, there's also, which was something I've always thought when I was younger, is you don't really know me.
Yeah.
You don't know who I am. You think you know me. You know this persona that I'm putting in front of you, but that's not me, right? For years, that's why I was so successful in business. I was whatever it is they wanted me to be, right? Wasn't me. Was I happy? No. Did I like the money? Of course.
Yeah.
Had a beautiful home in Reading. We, like I told you earlier, would rent airplanes and go flying, right? I mean, take trips and not even think about the cost. But was I happy? No. No. And honestly, I've never been so happy in my life because, this year is raw and real. You take me as I am. Like, you're not editing this. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? What comes out, comes out. And because this is who I am. And I'll always be honest with you. I might step back and frame it in a way that you'll hear it, not in the way that I want to say it, because I want you to hear it. Right, and that's also NLP, speaking into your listening. I need to understand how you're going to hear me. So I choose the words that will resonate with you. Yeah. If I want to land them. Otherwise, why are we holding a conversation at all?
Yeah.
Right? Right?
Yeah, so remember this is I think a little off topic, but we were talking about Elon Musk a little before this. And it was funny because I watched him on a podcast and he was talking about communication and how we're essentially already partially computers, but our ability to understand each other is very flawed. So out of all of the communication, because we already know like 10% of communication is what you say, a lot of it's physical, we lose a lot of that in interpretation, and that's where a lot of conflict comes from, is we don't understand each other at all. So it takes time, but even then, me and my wife, I don't know how many times she says something, she's like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. Well, you got to be careful how you say things,
right,
because a lot of it's lost.
So let me. I love this. So I'll tell you how the brain actually works. Yeah. Right. So right now around us, there's 3 billion bits, 3 billion with a B, bits of data. You've got the lights, you've got the sounds, you've got colors, you've got the air. Yeah. Right. Our brain can absorb 750. That's it. Of the billions, 750 at any given moment can come into our brain, right? So we are distorting, deleting, and generalizing all of this information, right? So that's the first thing. All right, so now we've just filtered. Then we have our norms and our beliefs that we attach to it. Oops, we just warped it a little bit more. Yeah. Then we have little folders that we put them in. This way I hate the word coach. I'm not a coach because you put me in this folder. And I don't fit there. So we put everything in little folders, right? And then we interpret it. So what I have just experienced with you is not the same as what you've just experienced with me. It cannot be, right? And then when I communicate back out, it goes through that reverse process before you even get it. I mean, how can we possibly communicate?
Yeah. And that's the best part about it. So I think, kind of take it a little more broadly to what's going on in society at large, is a lot of it is this. It's people who don't understand each other trying to live and understand each other.
Right. And a lot of what's going on, I've had a lot of people talk to me, especially, and I'll say, Black Lives Matter, right, as being a big thing. And I had a conversation with my daughter, and I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do about that. And she says, how can you say that? I said, because there's only one thing I have control over, and that's me. Yeah. Right? And the only thing that I can do is be the best me that I am. And what I do for a living, this is not a black issue. This is a disempowerment issue. The woman in the situation felt disempowered, so she was fearful, right? The black guy was disempowered, so he was fearful. The cop was disempowered, so he was fearful. It's all disempowerment. Yes, we can call it whatever we want to put in, whatever folder and box we want to put it into. But people are feeling, and especially after what we've just gone through, lost, uncertain, and disempowered. that's the worst place to be, right? And so it's all about empowering people, teaching them how to connect with who they are, right? And to really know that if I make a choice, I want to make a conscious choice, not a fearful choice, not an angry choice, not a disempowered choice, not a black choice, not a white choice, not a gray choice, not a horse choice, no. A choice that is conscious because it aligns with who I am and not out of any vibration that's negative.
Yeah.
Then it's the right choice. And until people start to become conscious, and it's happening, it's just going to take a while, right? Until people start making conscious choices in their life, you're going to have reaction. My new word this year is I am not responsible, I am responsible. I am able to respond in a given way. My free will tells me how I will respond. And because I have become a conscious being, I'm going to be aware of the ability to respond in a way that is as high and as elevated as I can from the point I'm at.
Yeah.
If I can do that, and this is the conversation I have with my daughter, then that's the best I can do.
Yeah.
I cannot control someone else. I cannot change a situation. I can only be able to respond in the best way that I can. And so what I do for a living is what I can do to address the situation. So anyone who is ready to change, who's ready to hold my hand, not be alone, and look at the dark side, and learn how to be conscious with the choices they make, that's what I'm here for.
Awesome.
That's not coaching.
Yeah.
It's so different.
I like it. Yeah. So people who want to learn more about you, what you do, and get a hold of you, how do they do it?
Well, very interesting. My name is Gail Kraft. I have a website, gailkraft.com. I have an email, Gail@gailkraft. Right? On Facebook, Gail Kraft. Right? And so everything I have branded under my name so that it's less confusing to find me. Right? So absolutely reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, go to my website, and put a little message. I'll get an email and take a look at it however you want. I'm here. I'm in Londonderry and I work remotely. I have clients all over the world.
Cool.
It's awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much, Chris. I've been thinking about you for a while. So I saw your offer to come up. I'm like, yes!
So again, thank you. And thank you all for watching. Definitely reach out if this is the type of thing you need. Because I think everyone does, and sometimes they don't realize it. So it's important.
And just have coffee with me and we'll chit-chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Want more New Hampshire Business Show? Find us at iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and www.nhbusinessshow.com.